Hello, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome along to another big match build-up show. And this episode, I'm delighted to announce, is sponsored by One Football. And One Football's app makes it easy to keep up with the latest transfer news, scores and stats all in one place. To download the One Football app, click the link in the description. So, it has been a very busy week, and probably more so than most for us. Hughes sacked on Monday, Hasenhuttl hired later on in the week, and the Tottenham game at Wembley all thrown in on Wednesday as well. So, once this episode is published, I'm well and truly putting my feet up for Friday, but not for too long, I suppose. Early start for us on Saturday as Saints head to South Wales and Cardiff City. So coming up on this week's show then, we join forces with a familiar voice to many, and we're sharing the strange sensation of positivity. As for the opposition though, we chat to the View from the Ninian podcast and to find out why the upturn in form for Cardiff City.
I think the smile's mainly because I think we were all spending our time practicing saying Hasenhuttl, but I mean, look, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on, won't it? I mean, it's obviously a name that's come out of left field that I don't think any of us were really talking about when we were thinking about some of the replacements that might come in for Mark Hughes.
It's a bit cliche, but we've relied on team spirit and hard work, and I think that's starting to sort of come off now. It was a slow start, like you said, but I think it was down to nerves and settling in more than anything. I think none of our players really, or not many, had played at Premier League level before, so I think it was bedding in.
So do stay with us later on in the show for your bite-sized away guide and find out some of the best pubs for the away fans on Saturday. And as usual, this episode is available to download in the card above my head if you're watching on YouTube, and available on most audio platforms in the links below the show. So all this being said then, now is time to kick off our match build-up show as Saints head to South Wales to play Cardiff City. So welcome along then to our first half of our big match preview. Saints heading up to South Wales to play Cardiff City. And back on this week's show then, the host of the Total Saints podcast, Ben Stanfield. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, Freddie. Yeah, a bit another traumatic week in the life of Saints fans, eh? But yeah, we're all battling through it, eh?
And we're battling through with a smile now.
I know, keeps you and me busy, doesn't it?
Yeah, more busy than most, I'll say, probably both of us. But I mean, there's only one place to start really on this week's preview. Let's assume when this goes out on Thursday, Friday night, Ralph Hasenhuttl will be occupying the hot seat. Yeah, smiles on our faces finally. A good smile indeed after sort of 2 years of terrible managers. But it's expected 2.5-year deal, 3-year deal, something like that. I suppose the more we research into this bloke, the more convinced we become, and suddenly everything doesn't look so doomed.
I know. I think the smile's mainly because I think we were all spending our time practicing saying Hasenhuttl, but I mean, look, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on, won't it? I mean, it's obviously a name that's come out of left field that I don't think any of us were really talking about when we were thinking about some of the replacements that might come in for Mark Hughes. But I think we have to trust the likes of Ralph Kruger and Ross Wilson on what they've tried to do. His record on paper, Freddie, absolutely, it looks good. He's done a good job with Leipzig. He took Ingolstadt from relegation zone in Bundesliga 2 up to the Bundesliga and kept them up. So, he looks to have the sort of background of someone that can hopefully push Saints forward. I guess the only concern that we've all got is that, Pellegrino, Mark Hughes, they failed to get anything out of the same squad of players that he's going to have. So, sooner or later we have to understand, is it the managers? Is it really the players that are the issue at Saints? So I guess that's going to be the acid test for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, let's address the comments from Mayor Yoshida. I suppose he came out to the Daily Echo today. Your good friend Adam Leach. Hello if you're listening or watching along, Adam. But he mentioned that that the players have to take some blame for this. He feels bad because of Mark Hughes' sacking, and the test will be there. Should the manager fail at this project, the players have to be blamed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Saints players for a long time have been excellent at talking a good game, haven't they? And I think it's been on the pitch where they've really all let us down. So sooner or later, I think there needs to come a time when they need to come together as a group of players and really realise that they are part of the problem here. Absolutely. I think for me, and I think many Saints fans will agree, whatever happens, and I think I may have said this last season, for me, we need to have a bit of an overhaul in the summer that's coming, and whatever league we're in, because there's still no leaders in that team, Freddie. There's still no real superstars. It's just a group of average players, really. And I know Kruger talks about this 25-man squad, but there's no one in there that I don't think any of us really get excited about anymore. And, senior players like Meyer coming out and saying that after Mark Hughes is gone, it's one thing. But, why not perform for him while he's at the club?
I think you should have said it's 25-man roster. I think we all giggled after that
25-man roster in the locker room. That's right, yeah.
Unbelievable. But this bloke, Ralph Hasenhuttl, first of all, perhaps Saints have pulled a magic trick. His name sort of translates to Rabbit Hutch.
Yeah,
so maybe they pulled the rabbit out of the hat with this appointment. But he seems like everything we want from a manager: highly exciting, ambitious, inspiring, high energy. A slight variation in the formation, which we sort of hold dear to us for the academies, but still maintains overlapping wing backs and width from the pitch.
Absolutely. I mean, we've lacked a real game plan, haven't we, under Mark Hughes? I think it's been, I've said quite a lot on the podcast, it's felt like trial and error. He's still trying to work out his best team. He's trying to sort of game plan. He's playing 4 at the back, 5 at the back. At least this guy seems to have a structure in the way that he wants to work. One thing also that I think a lot of us have been quite frustrated about, is match fitness. For me, many of the players don't look fit, and I think it sounds like this guy is probably going to give him a kick up the backside. I wouldn't want to be Charlie Austin going into that first training session, to be honest with you. So I think that's what they need. I mean, I felt all along that whoever came in would really need to grab some of these players by the scruff of the neck and give them a kick up the backside, because I think they've got far too relaxed, far too stale. I'm really hopeful that this guy will be able to come in and get the best out of them, both technically but also in terms of their physicality as well.
Yeah, I think that, the players themselves got a bit complacent, but, the high pressing energy, the philosophy that Hasenhuttl sort of abides by, that spells bad news all day long for the likes of Charlie Austin. At the best of time, he blows after 5 minutes.
It does, doesn't it? But, that was the key to our success, wasn't it? In that sort of Adkins, Pochettino, I know Koeman had this reputation for playing a high press. I don't think that was as much the case as it was maybe under Pochettino. So, that's kind of what has made us successful in the Premier League, hasn't it? That pressing game. And Saints aren't a team that can afford to let teams come at them and sit back, because they get carved apart. So the more they can get on the front foot, get in players' faces, get them making mistakes, that's only going to work better for us, in my opinion.
Yeah, and everything, like we just said, everything we research into, I'm starting to feel goosebumps about this sort of manager. It's everything that we want from a coach. The last sort of 3 appointments have been totally uninspiring, but it feels like we've got the feel-good factor back.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, you and I obviously recording pre-Cardiff, so who knows what will happen down at Cardiff? The wheels might come off straight away. But I think that's it. And Adam's been very keen to say this all along. Saints, if they weren't going to go down the route of just someone to firefight, it needed to be a long-term replacement. I think the Telegraph have reported today that whatever happens to Saints this season, he will stay in the job. So you need a manager coming in that's got that long-term plan, that can start to build a squad, a team, look at the academy, bring players through. So that's been part of our problem. We're chopping and changing managers left, right and centre. There's no stability. We really do need someone now that I think can drive us forward 2-3 years. And I think for him, it's a good opportunity, isn't it? Saints are a stepping stone. They always will be. It gives him a chance to come in and prove himself in the Premier League. If he does, he's probably going to get a better job out of it. That hopefully will only do, us good in terms of him trying to prove his worth as well.
Yeah, I hope so. And like you just said, we need stability. And I think the most important thing for us as fans is we need to be patient with this new coach. And, let's say Cardiff will be his first real test. And, let's assume that his first day is Thursday, but they're only going to be back on recovery. So he's only really going to have Friday back to train and install some of his ideas. And of course, there's a fear factor to say that he's unknown to the Premier League. But look how Pochettino and Koeman turned out.
Exactly. I mean, we're looking for the bounce effect initially, aren't we? We're looking for him coming in, giving the players a lift, hopefully them going out and thinking, I need to impress this guy. That's what we're looking at really for Cardiff, I think. And then he'll get a chance to actually work with them, do some stuff on the training ground next week. But yeah, I mean, you're right about the feel-good factor, Freddie. I think fans, lots of us have been frustrated, I think, in the terraces. We're quick to boo, take a while to cheer, don't we? So we probably need to play our part as well and getting behind the lads again and almost drawing the line under this and saying, right, the only way this club can move forward, the players pulling in the right direction, the board, the manager, us as fans as well. We're not going to do it if we keep picking at each other. So, hopefully it will be a page that we can all turn over and, move forward positively.
I'm genuinely looking forward to this weekend, actually. There's going to be a sold-out support, a lot of a new ground to many up in Cardiff, all making the trip to South Wales. But, more so as well, we could see some players return from the abyss. We've seen Aria Romeo sort of, banished to the under-23s recently. Yeah. We could even see some of our younger players actually be given a chance. We could see Sims back in the squad, Gallagher, Hesketh, Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem. Mark Hughes seemed to alienate players quite quickly, didn't he? You look at the players from the summer that we signed, lots of them aren't even regular established players now. Bednarek's disappeared, Romeo's disappeared, players like that. So, it's always a cliche, isn't it? But when a new manager comes in, it does give everyone a fresh start. I mean, maybe Fraser Forster probably won't get a start because there's about 5 keepers in front of him. But I think everyone else, it's a chance for them to prove themselves and think, right, I want to be part of this guy's squad. And again, that hopefully can only benefit us as a team, because if we have got 25 players that are pushing for a starting position, then you got to think that they're going to be performing well to do that.
Yeah, I think credit has to be said to the board as well. We've been quick to criticise over the last few months, few years, how badly it's gone wrong. So credit to them to say that they've dealt with this situation before it got out of hand. And you could say, Mark Hughes might have bought himself a bit of time after the 2-2 draw with Man United last weekend. But, should he have lost to Cardiff, we would have been rock bottom.
Yeah, and I think it's clear to all of us that this decision wasn't made after or during the Manchester United game. I think Fulham was probably the last straw. I think they've since then reached out to individuals to try and see who would be available. Clearly, they weren't going to sack him until they had someone 95% of the way down the road. But I think the club, from what I've heard, have been keen to show that they're being proactive. They're not just going to let him go on another run of 3-4 games that they lose and then say, right, we're bottom, let's get rid of him. I think whatever happens again against Manchester United, I think the view was they were going to get rid of him, bring someone in and say, look, we're trying to move forward. We're not happy with the way things are. We drew with Manchester United, but we'd already made our mind up. So I agree with you. Let's give them a chance. I think they've got rid of Les Reed. They've got rid of Martin Hunter. They're clearly trying to make some changes. And again, it goes back to what I said. We need to get behind them, I think, as a fan base and all pull in the same direction. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think also this weekend, a win at the weekend not only would give us smiles back in our face and actually try to look forward to some football games, the next week with Arsenal at home, but, a chance to springboard our season. But what do you expect for Cardiff this week? They could also be looking at this game, it's a winnable game for them too.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt that they will do that. Southampton at home is one that they would have thought probably before the season started that they should be looking to win if they want to stay up. I watched them against Wolves the other day. They're a committed side. They're a passionate side. They probably represent their manager, who's a bit of I don't personally like him, but he's a bit of a fiery character, isn't he? And, I think they will be up for the game. But the pressure's all on them, isn't it? I mean, it's a home game for them. They're heading in the right direction. They probably the fans will expect them to beat Saints. For me, that plays into Saints' hands. They can go down there. We know Saints have got a lot of pace on the counter attack with the likes of Nathan Redmond and players like that. So the more that they push forward Cardiff, you hope that will open up opportunities for Saints. I think we're expecting Danny Ings to be back as well, which will be a boost. So I don't think it will be an easy test, Freddie. But it's absolutely a game that I think could go either way, really.
Yeah, and I think, based on their performances as well, very spirited squad, and 3 times this season they've won the games from behind, and guess what? Saints can't keep a lead. So hopefully that script hasn't been written, so it's a new book to write. But what are your score predictions then for the weekend?
Yeah, so on the podcast, this was prior to Mark Hughes being sacked. I went for 2-2, Freddie. I think, it's as you said, it's going to be hard for Hasenhuttl to make his impact, I think, in 24 hours. So I'm going to go for Tool, but I'm probably edging towards Saints having a better chance now than they might have under Mark Hughes.
All right, positivity and that, and you don't get too much from your podcast either.
Yeah, I mean, Adam calls me pessimistic. I try to be realistic. I think generally these days I've been working on reverse psychology, hoping that sooner or later I'll keep saying that they'll lose and eventually they'll win. So you never know. All
right, great stuff. Then just remind everybody where we can catch up with you.
Sure, yeah. So we're on Twitter at Total Saints Pod. You can find us on SoundCloud, looking for Total Saints Podcast as well, and on iTunes as well, Freddie.
Great stuff. Really good to speak to you, Ben. Speak to you next time.
Take care.
Once again, a massive thanks to Ben from the Total Saints podcast. Do subscribe to their show and head back after weekend for their weekend review. But do also check out their latest episode of their manager special as they find out more about Ralph Hasenhuttl. On now to your bite-sized away guide, though. If you're heading up on the train, it will be cosy on 3 coaches all the way to Cardiff from Southampton. But luckily, once you arrive in Cardiff Central, there are no end to pubs to grab your grub for match day, for your breakfast, and in particular, there are 2 Wetherspoons just by the train station. What a better way to start match day. Be aware though, Cardiff City Centre is about a half an hour walk to the football ground. It might be best to jump on the quick train from Central to Ninian Park before the match, which serves Cardiff City Stadium. If you are looking a little bit out of the city centre, then I hear that the Pond Canna Inn by the Cricket Centre, about 20 minutes walk from the football ground. It accepts away fans and only charges £5 to park. So they have it then. Cardiff will be a new ground to most. Let's make the most of it. But now it's time to speak to our opposition as we speak to the View from the Ninian podcast. So welcome along to our second half then of our big match build-up show, and doesn't get any bigger than this weekend. A 6-pointer as Saints travel to the Cardiff City Stadium, South Wales, play Cardiff City. So we've got an opposition outlook on the call this week. Our first time this season, we're speaking to a Cardiff fan, and it's Scott from the View from the Ninian podcast. We got that out in the end, mate.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you feeling?
Yes, good. Excited. Obviously Cardiff are playing tonight, but also excited for the game on the weekend.
Excellent. I mean, last few weeks, Cardiff really starting to upturn some form, really starting to pull up some roots and actually starting to hit some momentum. I mean, talk us through your campaign so far. It was really slow to start though, wasn't it?
It was. It's difficult because I think so many people, other fans and pundits and other sort of managers wrote Cardiff off really early in the season. A lot like Chris Sutton before a ball had even been kicked. I think within Cardiff, we were quietly confident. I think that came from, obviously, last season, no one expected us to be even close to the playoffs, let alone push Wolves and get sort of second for automatic promotion. So I think we as fans had faith in Warnock and the players as well. And we knew that we would struggle in terms of we don't have the quality that, any other side has really. And, that we don't have the budget. I think our budget is a quarter of the size of Huddersfield, who are the next lowest budget. So it's going to be difficult, but it's a bit cliche, but we've relied on team spirit and hard work. And I think that's starting to sort of come off now. It was a slow start, like you said, but I think it was down to nerves and settling in more than anything. I think none of our players really, or not many, had played at Premier League level before. So I think it was bedding in, and now we've settled a bit. We're starting to prove that we can be competitive.
Yeah, really a couple of words you've just taken off the tip of my tongue, really. Much reported, a championship quality side, quote unquote. And like you just said, very spirited side, sort of seeing you through over the last few weeks, and you're really starting to build some momentum now, aren't you? We are, yeah. And, I think it's hard work is a lot of it, but we do have flashes of quality, and the last few games have shown that. And there were promising signs early on. We gave Arsenal a really good game. I think it was 3-2 we lost in the end, or 4-3, something like that. And we easily deserved the point. We deserved a point away at Spurs. And, everyone's gone on about Wolves and Fulham, particularly Wolves as, the best promoted side possibly the Premier League has ever seen. And we've beaten both of them already this season. So
we'll build momentum, and it's looking promising.
I mean, Wolves aren't the only promoted side you've beaten this season as well, though. You've also beaten your other promotion rivals, Fulham, earlier this season as well.
Yeah.
And, let's talk about the manager first of all. It's a hot subject for us, particularly at the moment. Neil Warnock outlasting, obviously, Mark Hughes and Slavisa Djukanovic from Fulham. And, Cardiff, one of the hot favourites for relegation. And, of course, sticking with Neil Warnock.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's about a lot more than football with Warnock. The club was in an absolute mess when he took over, and he's managed up as well as he has managed down. And I think even if we were bottom of the table with 0 points, I do not think any fans would call for Warnock's head, and I don't think they'd get rid of him either. And if we do get relegated, there's no one better to get us promoted again.
I mean, perhaps you've got a fear factor, though. Obviously, Neil Warnock turning 70 last weekend. Perhaps he hasn't got many more years left in him before he looks at retirement.
Yeah, I mean, you think he's already retired twice, isn't he? Something like that. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see when the club do start to build for the future. I think a lot of Cardiff fans, myself included, think Craig Bellamy should be the next Cardiff manager. He's our under 18s or under 21s manager at the moment. Obviously went for the Wales job and came close. So I think he'd be the next manager. So it'll be interesting to see how they plan to sort of bed him in, or plan for the future without Warnock. So
3 wins on your belt this season, about 9 points on the board, no draws. The rest of them losses, but all 3 wins in the Premier League. Like going back to like you just said, the fighting spirit amongst the squad, and all of those games you've come from behind to win these games. Beating Fulham, Brighton, and Wolves, like you said.
Yeah, and we saw that all last season, and it's testament to Warnock and the character that he's sort of installed in the squad, that they don't give up, and I think we've deserved the wins in all of those games. So if we can sort out our defensive problems, which they have been evident, then we can definitely beat a few teams and hopefully not have to come from behind.
Perhaps some people are writing about championship quality players, but a player in particular, if you were watching Match of the Day on Saturday night or Sunday night, one player in particular with a cracking goal coming out from the edge of the box, Junior Hoylett picks up man of the match, Match of the Day's goal of the month. But are there any other sort of key players we need to look out for at the weekend? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with Hoylett because he's actually been pretty poor this season. He's one of our best players last year, and he's really struggled to adapt. So I think he really needed that goal on Saturday. I saw he's in the starting lineup again tonight against West Ham. So it'll be interesting to see how he does there and going into the Southampton game. Look, we've got bits of quality. I think Josh Murphy in particular is really impressed going forward, and he's probably our most dangerous player. Callum Patterson's signed as a right back, played as a midfielder last year and is now up front, and he scored a couple of goals. But he's a big, physical, throws himself around. Obviously saw the first goal with Aaron Gunnarsson. It was Callum Patterson's work and challenging the goalkeeper, some say unfairly, but I think it was perfectly fair, but I might be biased. I think he'll certainly, give Southampton defenders a good game. And, I'm not sure your defensive record isn't great this year. It's been interesting to see how they handle his physical threat. Yeah, I think that's perhaps our weakness that, our defenders have had this season. They're too weak on the ball, too weak to be, sort of pushed off, muscled out. Prime example at the weekend, Rashford bouncing Yoshida off his shoulder as well. But, you could say this weekend, one of the early 6-pointer games, so close at the bottom as well, only a few points separating where you are sort of 16th at the moment, down to us sort of, just third from bottom. Time of recording before the midweek games, of course, you're playing at West Ham. But, yeah. I mean, should you win on, Saturday, it would stretch your lead away from the bottom, I suppose. But should we win, we close the gap, we leapfrog you. It's so close. But what's your outlook for the weekend or the season should you receive the worst?
I think every game's a must-win at this level, particularly no disrespect to Southampton, but it's a team that we'll be looking at, particularly with the current state that you're in, and saying that we should be winning, especially at home. I think we'll be all right. I said we finished just outside the relegation zone at the start of the season, and I still stand by that. It'll be interesting. It'll be a fiery atmosphere, and I'm sure the players will be up for it.
And there's going to be a big Saints following as well, and expect to see a brand new manager in the dugout. Is there some sort of fear? You know, perhaps if Mark Hughes was coming to town, you'd maybe have thought a bit more of an advantage. Yeah,
definitely. I wish Sparky was still in charge. You've had a bit of a shocker this year, haven't you? But yeah, I mean, there's always the new manager bounce, and so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we'll only have a couple of days with your team, so it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can adapt to his style. And obviously, he's quite an attacking manager, isn't he? So it'll be interesting to see whether they can have that impact, or whether it'll be a bit of a wake up call for him. And Warnock's obviously physical style and long ball, and that might be a bit of an early wake up call for him on his first game.
All right. So all that being said, then Scott, let's have your score prediction.
I think it would be 2-0 Cardiff.
Oh, crikey! Not a terrific start for Hasenhuttl. But just tell everybody where we can find you before we sign off.
Yeah, so we're at viewfromtheninian.com. And we're also on Twitter at VFTNinian.
All right. And if people want to listen to your podcast, you're on there as well, yeah?
Yeah. All the popular apps, as we like to say.
Excellent stuff. And big thanks for joining us, and we'll catch up the weekend, mate.
Perfect. Thank you, mate.
And thank you very much then to Scott from the View from the Ninian podcast, the Cardiff City show. Do head over to their page where you can also check out my matchday thoughts on their preview show. But that does wrap up this week's match build-up episode. Do let us know how you think Saints will get on in South Wales at Cardiff City. Can we capture the new manager bounce with Ralph Hasenhuttl? Thank you very much for watching, for listening along. We'll see you in Cardiff. Come on, you Saints.